Thanks everybody for coming. It's going to be a really fun lecture, and I'll try not to take up much time, but I would really like to thank Brian and the Victoria Seed Bank for not only being here today, but being here period on the island. It's very exciting for many of us in the field to have them come here, and it's a great pleasure to introduce him here today and have him in our life. And no further ado, come on up.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity for us to let everyone know that the Victoria Seed Bank's in town. It's fun. I'll give you a little brief history about me first. Moved to Vancouver about 5 years ago. Started working with the Vancouver Seed Bank. Been with them ever since. We decided to kind of branch out over here just because it was such a need. We always good friends with Ted and all the other clubs and things that go on in town here. So they just, when we came over one weekend, they kept asking us, "Oh, you guys are here to open a seed bank?" Not really, but you know, they planted the seed in our head. So we were walking around Victoria and we walked through Dragon Alley. It really reminded me of Amsterdam because of the little feeling in there. And there was a store for rent. We were like, wow. So text the owner of the store, Rebecca, and I said like, you want to look online and have a look at this spot? And so she texted me back and she's like, what were you thinking? I said, well, seed bank there, you know. The response from all the stores have been just like, you guys are here to open a seed bank. So we're like, you know, signs point to yes, you might as well go for it. So we got the space in November, I guess it was, and by December 1st we were open. December 7th or something, I think we got our business license from the city of Victoria, which was really kind of interesting because in our store in Vancouver there's a big battle to get a business license. It's a hard thing to do. They don't really want to give it to us because of the marijuana seeds that we sell, which is technically one of those gray areas that we all like to push the limits on. So if you guys haven't been down to Dragon Alley, I don't know if you guys all know where it is. I've met lots of people that have been here for years and it's never actually been through the alley. So it's on Fisgard Street right in Chinatown. We're open every day 11 till 6. Right now we're in a slow period. We're always doing lots of office work, so if you come and there's a little sign on the door that says ring the bell, we're in the office. Ring away, we're just like a couple steps away more than likely. I'm not sure what else to talk about right at the moment. Any questions about anything?
How does the seed business work?
Well, we're technically
where do you
like
guys get your seeds from?
Oh, that's a good question. We're technically like the seed bank, so we work with a series of different breeders from around the country, and they kind of bring their seeds to us. We package them up and sell them. So we give them kind of an outlet to sell their seeds. And in Canada, it's kind of like a big gray area where people don't have like a legal outlet to sell these things, where the Dutch market's kind of just flooded with people. They get to advertise their cannabis in the coffee shops like it's, you know, a new product. Like if you go to Starbucks, you'd see like, you know, the White Widow on the menu. On every coffee shop you go into, you see that. So it's kind of just built up that stamina. So here in Canada, there's a lot of private breeders, and since Mark was arrested years ago, they kind of all went away. But in the heyday, I believe there's about 25 Canadian breeders. Right now, we're dealing with about 10 to 12 of those companies right now, and about 7 or 8 Dutch companies. And the seeds, technically, when we get them, they're all usually in original packaging from the Dutch companies, because again, they go for the big marketing thing where they put them in special packaging and advertise the heck out of them. But hey, if we were allowed to have coffee shops on every corner here, I'm sure we would. I guess what I should talk about is maybe for people who are interested in buying seeds, to be like a good seed customer. So you got to ask yourself a few questions on what you're going to do with these seeds. You're going to grow them indoor, you're going to grow them outdoor. If you're growing them indoor, will it be like a big space, small space, little cabinet? And if you haven't grown before, I always try to direct people towards like a Northern Lights variety that's kind of squat growing, very, very uniform when you grow the different varieties of it. You can't really kill this plant. You can over fertilize it, you can under fertilize it, which is, you know, a good thing to under fertilize. Next thing you're going to want to know is if you have a smell issue. You know, if you're growing in your apartment or, you know, bedroom, you don't want to have the smell issue. So if you're not going to use like a carbon filter to like scrub the air, you pick like a lower smelling strain or something that's not skunky to be like, you know, recognized with marijuana. Something fruity, like Northern Lights is kind of fruity, doesn't really have a skunky smell, so it's a good one.
Would it be better to recommend feminized seeds compared to not?
For a first-time grower,
And probably they probably wouldn't know what feminized meant compared to just seeds.
that's right. Well, there's a bunch of seeds out there. There's feminized seeds right now, which they're spraying with an organic chemical which is stressing out the plants to produce female pollen only. So when they self-pollinate themselves, they don't produce any male genos in the plants. So when you grow those seeds, they're technically all like a copycat of that strain. So they kind of lock in the genetic with the female seed, so you don't have to worry about sexing a plant, which isn't rocket science. When you see marijuana, you see the white hairs, that's the female. The male will have like a little flower type thing that comes out. Looks nothing like marijuana, like a bud would, so you just rip that out, get rid of it. For a first-time grower, I don't think I'd go with the feminized seeds, just because I'd like everyone to experience the whole process. You know, you want to see what a male does. It's your first time, you're not doing a big show, so it's not like lots of time and money put into it. It's more time and effort you put into it, just so you kind of know what it does. And I like people to see the male plant so they know if there's any issues along the way. Sometimes issues do occur. You'll have like a hermaphroditic plant, which is either stress related or strain related. Sometimes you'll find some that are naturally hermaphroditic, like a Thai strain. Usually I tell everyone keep like a close eye on them, check all the bottom nodes, everything like that, because you know, all it takes is a little male plant to come out or flower to come out and pollinate your whole room. But yeah,
Well,
first time.
On that note, if you do want to pollinate some of your seeds, say buy a couple seeds, and then you want to have a seed crop yourself, not
Yeah.
necessarily to get in the business, but
Just to
just
have
to
your
get
own
some
seed
seeds and
preservation.
give them to your friends as presents, whatever. What would be the best way to fertilize the plants?
Just leave a male and a female plant in the same room. The male will do its thing naturally. The breeders like to put fans on them, give it a little shake, because when you shake that flower, the pollen just goes everywhere. Kind of like a dandelion would when they're all fluffy and you blow it off. Pollen's a lot smaller and it just scatters your whole room. And at that point where the pistil is, it turns into like it gets fertilized, and then it stops producing bud and starts producing seeds.
What if you just wanted a couple of seeds then?
I'd try the pollen with a bag technique, and then you can like collect pollen in a bag and put it over just like 1 or 2 branches. It's, it's a little tricky, if you're worried about any other pollinization, don't do that. But if you just want to have a few seeds, do that, because you could have some leaky pollen getting underneath the plant. But seed preservation like that's great. If you're going to do outdoor crops too, you can always like plant some, your crop that you're going to harvest, and then, a few miles down, plant one you're going to have seeds for, so you can always have your own seeds for like next year, or like Ted said, give them to your friends for Christmas, birthday.
What about hemp seeds for eating, nutrition, and stuff like that? For example,
Like to grow your own?
yeah, like I'm not really a part of this collective, but they're kind of forming where there's thoughts going out towards emergency food for the future, and so I've been thinking about systems of making rations, but really cheap or efficient and really nutritious. And when I look at hemp seeds, it's like really coincidental how it has like the right proteins and fatty acids that you
It has everything you need. Like you could, like they said, the Buddha lived off 1 hemp seed a day, which I still think that's a little fictitious, but say like a handful of hemp seed a day, very possible. But like I said, yeah, no, that's probably the best one you could use, like, because you can grow it anywhere. Poor conditions, great conditions. The fiber and everything, you can just use that even for excess.
But you guys don't sell hemp seed that's able to grow. Ironically, it is harder to get hemp seeds than it is pot plant seeds. It is so tightly regulated that even the farmers in Canada that get the licenses to grow hemp seed have to buy it from the federal government. It's very regulated. They've got them so that it's much more controlled than medical marijuana or cannabis in general.
Yeah, it's harder
which
to
just
get
goes
your
to show how
license.
threatening it is to all these multinational food producers.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to get your hemp cultivation license here in Canada than it is to get like a medical marijuana growing license.
Have you guys looked into getting hemp seeds?
We actually do have a viable source of hemp seed. It's a tsunami hemp seed. We acquired it somewhere. Yeah, it's fully viable. It's made for seed production, so it's a squatter growing,
Okay.
as opposed to the fibrous ones. It'd be like I always call them the sativa hemp because it's taller, it's more straight. Yeah, we have those. They're relatively cheap, like $15 for like 20 seeds or something like that.
They
Okay.
started adding finally, like after many years, they allowed like hemp seeds in the bird food mixes.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are imported from Romania, Hungary places, and they don't sterilize them necessarily before they mix them in the mixture. They just go straight out. So if you pull few of those, you will have their hemp seeds. It's
Yeah,
like
that's true.
pretty much. Out of 5, few will sprout guaranteed.
That's a good point.
I don't know if the camera picked that up, but anybody that needs hemp seed should buy bird seed from the Ukraine or Romania and stuff.
Canary mixes has a lot of them in more than parrots and stuff if you look for canaries.
The canary mix.
Yeah, cannabis, it's almost.
Well, the rumor is canaries won't sing without eating hemp seed.
No, they won't live as long. They get,
Yeah.
what's that called? Epilepsy. If they don't have enough hemp oil in their diet, they start getting like tweaking.
And they sell the hemp nut to eat at the store as well.
Yeah.
Just because you need omega fatty acids for your nervous system.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Can you eat like the marijuana seeds?
Yeah. Like they'd have the same nutritional value, but
So what would be the difference between like hemp seeds that you eat and marijuana seeds if you pollinate?
just to grow for seed production,
Just
say,
to
like
grow
for
for
food,
yeah.
no difference. You'd have THC in that seed, but I don't think you'd have to eat an awful lot of seeds just to get like a body buzz from like eating cannabis. But yeah, if you just had like some bag seed, you said, oh, I want to grow a bunch of seeds to eat over the next few years, yeah, that would be fine.
It'd be a good one to see in court.
Yeah, like if you're just producing it for
Seed,
seed, you know?
for self-consumption.
And the plant technically with seeds would weigh a lot more than just a budded plant because they do actually like have a lot of weight to them.
Oh, yeah.
Then, and it'd be worth less in a sense. It wasn't controlled breeding.
Yeah, yeah, it would just be like random seeds. Good for eating.
Now, there's certain techniques that people have that create certain brands that, you know, because it takes more than one crop. Like say, a lot of people like to cross and experiment between different genetics, right? So if you took two different plants, you know, say a Northern Lights and a Jack Hare, and crossed a male with females, my understanding is that you'd end up with a very wide variety of genetics, much like a man and wife would have a lot of different children.
Yeah.
And so how does a seed breeder go from taking two different strains to coming up with a new strain that they can reproduce consistently?
Well, what they do for that is they'll breed out the two first mom and dad, which would be like an F1, breed it together. They'll grow up a bunch of those seeds, hopefully pick out the best male and female, let those two breed again, and then they, after the next selection, they'll grow a bunch more and they'll see the uniformity come in. You'll probably have about 2 different phenos, maybe like a couple different ones out of it. And then you just kind of pick them out, and then on the 3rd or 4th cross, the uniformity kind of stays in there. So once you have those parents, they're really solid, so you can use those to kind of breed with each other. And the offspring's kind of either one or the other, very close to the mom, very close to the dad.
When I do a back crossing of my Swazi sometimes, and to get the same thing, like, so if I want A and B, I'm doing A and B, then I come back with A, right? But if I want A and B, I want B, more B, and I come back with B again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
But it's
2
4
to 1.
generations before it's a stable genetic?
Yeah, depending on the strain
Strain,
too. Some
yeah.
of them are kind of like, you know.
Yeah, some are made
Yeah.
for breeding. Like the Swazi's phenomenal for it, I find, because you always get stable so much quicker. Where I've seen some, like you said, go 6 or 7 times before it's more
Yeah, and then
stable.
you're still getting like, you know, 5 or 6 in there where it's kind of, you know, the similarities are all there, but the differences are also there. So it's
I think that's why I kick a little bit of sativa. I think just helps that.
yeah, it keeps everything.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to germinate your seeds? And
Best-
what not to do?
Well, what not to do, don't put any bleach in the water, don't use your tap water, don't use water from a puddle. I recommend using like distilled water, bottled water is always good. I usually recommend 2 ways. There's usually a glass of like a coffee cup, something that's not clear, put some water in it, drop your seeds in. I usually give them a little swirl with my finger, put a piece of saran wrap over it, poke some pinholes in it, just so dust doesn't get in and air can escape. And I usually put it above my fridge, like in the cupboard up there where it's dark. The other way is the paper towel method. I kind of stay away from that because I find with the paper towel, when they root, sometimes they grow through the paper towel, so you're in there kind of ripping apart paper towel, and if you're not used to it, you could just like rip the root off the seed, and then you're kind of, you're not beat, it'll still may grow, like there's a 50-50 chance you put that in dirt, it'll regenerate and grow, but you know, you're kind of wasting a lot of time. The glass of water method I like because I can take like a little spoon after and just pick it up and look at the seed, pull it out, put it in whatever medium I'm using, and you're off and growing.
What's your options for mediums?
For starting seeds, I like just like a Pro Mix or a Sunshine Mix. The Rockwell, if you don't pH adjust it, it could like really mess with the seeds because the Rockwell is usually like a higher pH. I think it's like 7.2 or something.
Well, Grodan, they have pH adjusters in them.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can take a Grodan in a gallon of water and put it in there and watch your pH
Oh, nice.
adjust.
Well, there you go. Rodan would be a good one because it's already pH adjusted. Peat pellets, stuff that's really like soggy and soft, I try to stay away from just because what happens when you start with your seed, it usually has like a little, don't mind my drawing here. This is a root. It kind of just puts out a little root. I usually let it get about not that big, maybe like this big. And then you want to put it in whatever medium you're going to grow in, and you only want to go like 2.5 times that seed depth. And that's the mistake lots of people make when they're starting out. They'll put it in like this far. Meanwhile, it's almost choking itself down there. And when it's like that, I recommend dropping the seed in so the seed actually goes down first and the roots facing upwards, because it naturally wants to do this. And that's kind of where it uses its energy, and then it pushes the seed up and starts its way of life.
Oh, I get it.
When I used to do lots of seeds, like for outdoor gardening, I'd find like I'd germinate them in something and put them in a big tray, and I'd find some wouldn't come up, and I'd dig them up, and they'd be like little pigtails because they're kind of either sideways or something, and they'd just be like going which way is up kind of thing. And with the root down, they kind of still want to do that flippy thing again. So it's just a quicker start. Always give them a nice environment for starting. Like even when you put them in the dirt, make sure your temperatures are like 70 to 80, very constant, because they know.
What will be that in Celsius?
20, yeah.
I don't know. American
Growers are still back
hell
in-
out of me.
Yeah, we're still an American thing for some reason. It's because of the Grove Bibles.
Well, the whole pot industry is, right? I sell grams and buy pounds. Like,
Yeah.
it's a funny world.
Everything else is easy to convert, but those temperatures, they are the most confusing.
Yeah, I can. People tell me too in America, they're like, oh, it's so warm, it's 80 degrees, and I'm like, I know that. They're like, what's it there? I'm like, oh, minus 10, and they're like, oh, what's that? I don't know. It's minus 10, it's cold.
What kind of light would you want to put them under, too?
Fluorescent, something very similar to this. There's actually a new one out in the market, like a T5. It's like a compact fluorescent. They don't get hot. You can actually put them like this close to the plant, which is awesome for starting a seed because they won't want to stretch. I don't know if any of you have started seeds yet, but your first times usually like these long beanie looking things look almost like you're starting tomatoes, just because there's no light right against them, so they're just like stretching for the light. If you put a light right over them like that, they would just be like start to mature into a plant.
The T5s, they were sold at all Home Depot and all that, but now Home Depot are sticking to T10s, and Canadian Tire and all these places, you have to buy T5s now through All Bright Lighting or any wholesale distributor. You just can't go in and buy them in the store anymore because of how popular they became, I guess.
Controlled marketing.
Mhm.
Can you get by with like normal household halogen light bulbs?
Yeah, but even like one of those fluorescent compact ones would be better just for heat-wise and efficiency.
If you're growing outside, you obviously want to germinate inside. And then
Yeah.
at what point do you want to like move that plant outside when you think it's ready?
As long as it's not super cold out or anything.
Yeah, but as far as like plant size and structure.
After it's maybe like a couple weeks old at the minimum, if it was like if you're putting it out in May. Here, I guess April. I'm from Ontario originally, so I'm like, my outdoor growing season starts in like May, June. Here, people are coming into the store being like, well, I put out April 1st, and I'm just, that's okay. They're like, oh yeah, there's no frost, nothing, But probably when they're about like this big, you got a few branches. If you can put them outside and inside for a little bit to harden them off, just so they kind of get a little turbo stressed out when you shove them out there.
Okay, I gotta jump in. I've got more experience growing outdoors here than Brian. And if you can, you probably want to sprout your seeds this month, depending on where you're going to grow, because BC and the coast in particular is very dependent upon the climate, and it depends even like how high up the mountain per se you're going to grow. Like I have friends that grow in the bluffs and the Sunshine Coast, for example, and they got to wait till almost July 1st before they can put their plants in the ground. And if they do their job right, they grow them like this big, and it takes a hell of a lot of effort to do that because they got to pack them fairly far. So there's variables. If it's just in your backyard and you're somewhere like in the Sunshine Coast, like Some of the islands there are dry and warm, where, as he said, it's like, April 1st, plants are going in the ground, like you're not going to get a frost again. You don't want to let it get a frost, because that'll kill it. So like some places out in the highlands, with your plants, would be dead, whereas, someone with a, on their patio in James Bay wouldn't have to worry about it, right? So it really is very climate dependent on that answer, but the bigger you can get them before you put them outside, the better.
One
Yeah,
other
more
note on
chance
that
they're
too,
gonna
when you
live.
put them outside, don't put them by pine trees or anything that's grown in pine soil. So if you're not from BC, pine will kill them right away.
Yeah, it's super acidic for
Yes,
the soil.
very.
They've been like, all the needles have been falling for probably like, 100 years, and the tree's been there, so.
Yeah, I learned that in Ontario really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, you go out with a big bag of lime and you like lime the hole and hope for the best. Or put a plastic liner in and then fill it with dirt and then you're okay, but only for a year.
Any more questions then?
Talk about the seed soak. Have you ever used seed soak? The product?
No.
No?
What is it?
What is this seed soak you speak
it
of?
comes from it comes from Australia, and also it's in Amsterdam. It's pre-soaking for the seeds 24 hours first to create more females to make the male
I've heard
genetic
about
one.
this.
Yeah, we tried some with the bull rider, and it did work. But I found the same results using an organic product here called Black Crystal.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And it does the same thing. What it does, it allows the membrane not to take in stress as much. So therefore you end up with more females. That's what it basically does.
Yeah, actually that's what I was saying about the starting the seeds when you have them in the dirt. Even like they're above temperature above that dirt before it's even a plant has to be nice, because they're almost like, they're alive, they know. So if you like, I find out with outdoor gardeners, they'll start them inside and they'll put them in the shed outside. I germinated them inside, put them outside, I got like 80% males. So what would you do with them? They're like, well, I put them in the shed. I said, well, how were they out of the dirt? No, I had a light above them. I'm like, so they totally drop. So the plant kind of senses what's going on above it, and it'll be like, okay, I might die up there, so I need to have this male gene so I can produce my own seed to keep my plant living. And if you have like nice, good conditions, you're gonna have a higher female rate every time.
I heard if you get like a 20-degree fluctuation in Fahrenheit, so what's that in Celsius? I don't know, 4 or something. I mean, I don't know what that would be. I'm an older timer, so anyhow, 21 degrees Fahrenheit, and then sometimes that's what really triggers them the most.
Yeah, because they just know.
Yeah, 'cause from that heat to cold, you want to keep it around the same 78 to 80 degrees all the time.
Yeah.
If you fluctuate that down to like 60 degrees, boom, you're going to produce a lot more males. Stress factor.
Yeah, they don't like stress.
Yeah, they're like a baby. They're like a baby.
Yeah, they're a baby little seed there. You want to keep them warm and coddle them.
Hey, we treat it like it is.
Speaking of incubating small things into large ones, we're so glad that the seed bank has come here and sprouted to life in our neighborhood.
We're so happy to be here.
Thank you so very much, Ryan.
You were out, weren't you?
No.
Thanks,
No?
everybody,
Oh,
for coming.
somebody thought you were there.
We have a jug of fertilizer for everybody that came.
In
Well,
Ontario.
not quite a jug, but
Yeah,
Dr.
up on
Hornby,
mom.
who did the chemistry lesson last semester, is working for this company.
the one
It's,
that
I
you
guess,
sold the
a
kids,
two-cycle grow.
Yes,
So
that's-
it will work
Who's that,
for
Gino?
both
No,
veg
like Brady from
and
Thunder
blue.
Bay.
And so
She had a pink
please,
shirt on.
if you want to grab one of them, it works for more than just cannabis as
She
well.
wants some cookies.
But yeah, help yourself to one of those each. And please, if you can, make it down to Brian's store or the seed bank. It's
Yeah, it'll
Rebecca's
be me
store,
here,
it's the community
or
store in
Bob.
some sense, and Bob as well is here.
He's
for that.
co-founder as well.
And so, thanks everybody for coming. I don't even know what the hell I'm teaching next week, but I think maybe it's Gale. I don't know. But it'll be a surprise for everyone. Thanks for coming up, folks. Have a good day. Smoke with John.